right, and we
Hey,
are
really sad
live.
yeah, was that I'm a FREE. Hold on, stop the beat. I'm a much see the girl like she feel about me. That's been stuck in my head. I done seen it.
I see.
Mm, mm,
I see. What's
mm.
good?
Hey,
Y'all come on in.
I'm really excited about the remix. About this Glorilla Cardi B remix.
Yeah,
Looking
don't it
forward
drop
to
tonight?
drop tonight, you know.
Yeah, I'm gonna check it out. See what it's in for.
Yeah.
And I didn't care nothing about the first song, but I am a Cardi B fan, so I'm gonna see.
The first song was hard though.
That's
I
what I
got
heard.
problems in the biggest with this beat.
I'm just not the audience for it.
Yeah, me neither.
I've been F word free for a long time, and so I'm excited for everybody who has figured out and cracked the code. I'm happy. Good luck to you. Hope you continue on that path. This feels nice over here. So I just
in the city, we gon' slide, bet I be there pronto. Me, my guys, we really live. Lord forgive me, pay my tithes. Please don't have me reach inside, and that's in the console. Keep the semi when I ride, lit off Henny when I drive. In the city, we gon' slide, bet I be there pronto.
What's good with y'all? We are back. It's another Thursday. This is the Chop Up Show. I am Damo, the political plug. I love seeing these beautiful faces on the screen. Y'all make sure y'all letting us know where y'all coming from the chat. We missed y'all last week, but we're gonna get it in this week. You feel me? And we got a lot of important stuff to talk about, as you can see in the title. We talking about Misandry. You know what I'm saying? We talking about I gotta get it into politics, right? But I gotta introduce who I'm with. Y'all go ahead, let them know.
It's your girl Toya G. Happy to be with y'all another Thursday. It's fall time out here. California has not gotten a notice because we about to be in the 90s or 100. So pray for us as we pray for you. Y'all got your jackets on, your shoes on. Just know there are some people still struggling through the summer heat. But besides that, I'm with the gang. You know what I'm saying? So it's a nice day. It's a good day.
Yeah. Hey, we passed the 2-minute mark, so I'm gonna go on and introduce myself as him. I'm talking today. I'm him. I'm really him. Talking big shit today. George Lee, aka Consciously. Don't forget the Lee. I'm a man. You feel me? I'm a full man that got emotions and feelings. And I think that a lot of you men's right activists, y'all not about what y'all be talking about. So I hope that when y'all see this video, me and my co-host finna have a nice little luxurious conversation. If you feeling froggy, leap your ass into one of these, you know what I'm saying, little sound clips. And I dare you.
My goodness.
I dare you. I'm ready though.
To what? To what?
It's
I want to know what to do.
A lot of them hyper-masculine dudes can read in between the lines. That right there is a dog whistle saying, I dare you. You feel me?
Yeah.
Whoever hear that whistle, they can this way right here. We got time. Swear to God.
What's good?
You know what? We might as well not waste any time then. Go ahead and get into this first shop. Let's go ahead and get into the conscious shop, bro. Let's get it.
Yeah, it's going on. We're gonna get into this conscious shop. I'm gonna give y'all a little context of why I'm kind of hypey, how they say out West Coast. You see what I'm saying? So I made this video. Shout out to Drew Follow. This woman of color TikToker that has been able to get a lot of attention from talking about misogynist uniquely, right? This random professor guy, calls himself professor, said that Drew Follow was being canceled because she's a misandrist and she puts hatred towards men. I made a video responding like, "No, Drew Follow ain't canceled, but I can't stand you dudes that have more energy for sexism. I mean, how people respond to sexism than the actual sexes themselves. I got an issue with you dudes that have more energy with how people respond to misogyny than the actual misogyny itself." So
right.
Jumping into this conversation now, we're gonna explore all the realms of it. The definition of misandry is hatred, prejudice, discrimination towards men. My question to y'all: can you give me some good examples of misandry? And I want to be clear, I'm not being facetious in saying that misandry does not exist.
Clear-cut examples of it. I don't know if this is a clear-cut example, but the closest thing I can think of is kind of, y'all know I'm a Twitter girl. And so a lot of criticisms about Black Twitter and the women on Twitter is the kind of, I hate men ain't shit, yada, yada, yada. And there's a running joke that like a lot of women are like, I be on the internet like I hate men, but I still go home to my man every night. And that's because he understands the difference between the criticisms I have of the systemic kind of positioning of men writ large and the separation I can make between my own man. Now, some people find that to be a criticism. I mean, not a criticism, but a contradiction. Some people find there to be some tension and complication with that relationship, but for the most part, people are, just kind of taking up space to air their grievances about men, but not necessarily completely alienating those same men, right? So that's kind of mostly where I see it is there is a culture and a wave of women that are just like, men ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? But it's very muchly, I don't think it's jokingly. I think it's serious. I think they mean it when they say it. But there's also, I think, some space for those same women to be like, but when it's all said and done, I'm attracted to men. I love men. Men are what I got. They what I need. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would have to say I can't give you any solid example of misandry, like hate for men, because and the way I think about it is like misandry would be the same thing as like reverse racism. I don't believe in reverse racism. So it's a term for it, right? People use it. So like there's a term for like misandry. People use it. People deploy it. Who? Oh yeah. But yeah.
I know we on the way over there. That's why I had to put it up. See, and plus, you can believe like, is the chat working? The chat is working, family. We see you talking to us. We see all y'all talking to us. We just kind of getting into some things, but you already leading in the right direction. So leave my bad. I seen it coming and said, bingo.
Right. And so, but see, even with that, like I said, I don't believe in reverse racism, right? Like the animus or the animosity that Black people have has to do with the relationship that Black has with the concept of race and how whiteness has positioned Blackness as the antithesis to society.
Mm-hmm.
That has nothing like that. It's not because they're white, because of the systems and structures that makes whites and Blackness that way. So from that, so if you look at it from the standpoint of the question of misandry and misogyny, the way that our society is structured, the way that everything we have is set up, right, creates these moments where women look at shit and be like, "You motherfuckers."
Yeah.
You feel me? And so it's not because they're men; it's because of the advantage, right, and everything else that comes along with being a man in a patriarchal society. Sure. So just like I cannot give you an example of reverse racism, I cannot give you an example of misandry.
Yeah, I think
that I do want to look at Captain Crunch's answer real quick.
I'm about to go on and debunk that one.
I mean, well, the question you asked was, can we locate misandry anywhere in our society? And the answer has been divorce court is a good example of child custody issues. So weigh in on that example of misandry or perceived misandry, if you will.
I would say the good examples of misandry are about the disavowal of men's emotions, men's feelings, men's insecurities. I think that would be kind of a good example. I know that here on the YouTube space, here in YouTube University, a lot of men's rights activists push misinformation and they love to sensationalize divorce court and custody court uniquely. However, my motto, research over me search. When you look into it, you can see that majority of divorce court and majority of custody are settled outside of court. So the idea that the institution of the law of the court is giving women this power in terms of custody or in terms of divorce, it is cap. It is cap. It is a lie. You see what I'm saying?
I want to respond to you though, Lee. I want to push back on what you said though, Lee.
Push back.
I don't think when women disavow the emotions of men, I don't think that's misandry.
I wouldn't even say women.
So give what was your example of misandry?
This my example. Maybe I said women, but I should say the hatred of men. How I see it is when we disavow men's feelings and emotions. If you're being real with you pushing that the pushback, I agree. Most of the time that it's done by other men.
Exactly.
But
go ahead.
Where that comes from though is patriarchy. Like and so like that's why it's not misandry. You know what I'm saying? Like it's patriarchy. Like we live in a society where men are told. So like if women do it, they're not doing it because they're like, oh, we don't care about men's feelings. It's because men's feelings we've been socialized to believe that they're not supposed to have them
by other men. That you need to tighten up, that you need to stop crying, that you need to stop acting like that doing certain things makes you gay. I don't know how many times I've seen on doggone and from men and women, like this nigga is drinking tea instead of coffee That makes you, how gay is that, right?
Yeah.
Like just a bunch of different.
Hey,
and they're saying, go ahead.
Can I put myself on blast real quick? And you got yours?
Nah, I
Toya,
think
did I-
Toya made me think of this. Yeah, man, I didn't mean to cut you off, Toya. I thought I cut you off.
this is how bad it fucked this up. So you remember when I called you and was like, "Hey, I'm dealing with something now that I got my son, right? I'm very affectionate with my son."
Yeah.
And I found myself just kissing on him. Like I kissed my son. I'm kissing on my boy. And I called Toya because the thought popped in my head, like, damn, can I be making him gay? And I'm like, yo, wait, what? No. You know what I'm saying? Because it's that deeply socialized. Go ahead, Toya.
I mean, but I see these conversations and I see the overlays when we think about how anti-Blackness is the most pervasive and the most kind of frustrating and damning. And that's when we see Black people engage in anti-Blackness. You know what I'm saying? So in the same ways, we are able to see how easy it is to learn behaviors from our oppressors and then take them, internalize them, and use them on people we care about, right? We see anti-Blackness, we look at the features of it, we look at how white people treat the Black people, and then we look at other Black people and treat them bad. The same way, I can love men, but because men have kind of been the blueprint for how to disregard another man's feelings and tear him down and knock him down, and how do you really get to him and bother him and shake him up real good, you question his masculinity, you question how strong he is, you disregard the feelings that he has, you take moments where he displays his feelings and make him feel lesser than. And so those are habits that women have learned, that other people have learned, because we got the cheat codes from other men. You know what I'm saying? That's the pushback of power.
So Damo's pushback, and what you just said, I think it leads me to the next question, right? The first thing I would say is I will go a step further. What Damo was saying, like kind of what Infinite Bleak was able to point out, that misogyny leads to misandry. I agree. Patriarchy and how other men internalize patriarchy and put it on to other men, that is the root cause. The impact is misandry.
Yeah.
So for my opinion, and I'm asking the question, I want to have a conversation about it, right? If you are a man's right activist and you are against the domination of men, shouldn't you talk more about capitalism, militarism, gun violence by men to men? Wouldn't that be more effective in talking about male domination?
Instead of I think that women are upset by it.
Yeah, right. This is the confusion, though.
Hold on, real quick. So I see it real quick. If I say patriarchy is bad, and as a man, I'm like, you said patriarchy is bad. Oh, I define part of my masculinity and patriarchy. You saying I'm bad, therefore you oppressing me. That's what I hear when people say misandry. You have a sexism critique. I believe your sexism critique hurt my feelings, therefore you're hurting me, therefore you're misandrous because I'm a man. And how dare you hurt my feelings? And it's like, that's not what we're getting at.
All right, we want to make sure we properly represent Infinite Blink's argument. Infinite Blink is saying, no, I'm saying there are two sides of the same coin. They don't exist without one another.
I'm saying that too, but I'm saying that one comes before the other. I'm saying that misogyny comes first. Misogyny creates misandry. When we have systems of dominating women, that creates resentment. I'm saying that resentment that people call misandry, I'm saying that is a cause and effect relationship. To me, it's like being mad at the smoke and saying "fuck the fire."
And I want to piggyback off that by talking about this.
Daddy, this is really live. Shay Daddy, this is really live. So shout out to you. Good evening to you. Thank you for tuning in. This is a live show. What's good with it?
In the mix. So like the child support example is the worst example, right? And the reason why it is because the leeway that women get, specifically with children, has to do with how patriarchy and misogyny taught men to abandon child rearing to the woman. The idea of women are better at raising kids comes from the concept that the man ain't the one that's supposed to be home taking care of the kids. Mm-hmm. That's where that stems from. The idea that a stay-at-home father is something that's seen as unfit. That's where that comes from. So then when you go to court and they like, yeah, the baby go with the woman. Well, yeah, because women take care of kids. That's where the stereotype. It's not that, oh, there's this deference to women specifically because we value women over men in this instance. It's no. The responsibility is innately tied to being a woman. Men, which niggas ain't even peeping game. The court is giving you. They like, yeah, you may have to spend a little bit of bread, but you don't have to raise it.
Yeah.
The court's telling you don't have to raise it, bro. They asking you
the trade-off, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But then too, if we overstand it like the Ross taught me, so when you talk about this particular system saying that it oppresses women, are women judges? Yes. Okay, let's think about the pattern and representation. How many women judges are there to men judges? So when we talk about, you feel me, let's act like 60% of these cases aren't settled in court. Let's act like they're not settled. Let's go with the argumentation, right? So if a woman is given custody by a judge, and most judges are men, how are you folding that into women being oppressed?
How? Like whenever it's all said and done, I think the thing that is, and this is one of my favorite words when it is attached to these types of conversations, because it's one people often forget when they want to throw in their whataboutisms, like what about courts, what about birth control? I mean, not birth control, but custody battles and things like that. But the disproportionality of it all shapes everything about this conversation. You are upset at a legal system. You are upset by a legal system that has created literal barriers to women being able to practice law, to be able to advance themselves in law, to be able to find themselves in positions in court of law, making the final decisions about that. So you know who made the paradigm about women having the most power in these systems? Your comrades, other men, right? So one or two things has to be true, but you can't have it both ways. Either men have all the logical responses and they have the best ways to structure our institutions and they really do know what's best, and that's proven by the decisions they've made about these families, or men don't have the best judgment, have the best perspective, have the best idea. They're taking up a whole bunch of space, and more women need to be a part of these conversations. More non-men need to be a part of these conversations, making better decisions on your behalf. So, I mean, you got to choose, but you can't have it both ways.
Hey, yeah, you can't have it both ways.
Watch this demo. 40% of states in the U.S. aim to give equal custody time to both parents. 74% of custodial fathers have full-time jobs. And 51% of custody cases, both parents agree the mother should have custody. 41% of the custodial mothers are 40 years or older. This comes from legaljobs.io, and it's 35 divisive child custody statistics that a lot of you manosphere, I'm advocating against misandry because that woman took my kid. Y'all be lying.
Yeah.
And what really bothers me is, again, if we bring back the reverse racism example, this is another example of black men relying on tactics that are typically deployed by the most annoying types of white men. Like this is bitching about misandry is Ron DeSantis going on a whole tirades about critical race theory.
No, it's
that's what this is.
The reason why I'm so set off by this is because y'all know when I first started my TikTok platform started going off, especially now one thing that annoyed me the most is that white people, particularly white men, would be like consciously. Now, I know you said white supremacy is bad. Now I agree. But can you be nice in the way that you deal with the racists and call them out about their racism? They literally will be like, hey, consciously, aren't you being a little bit of a white supremacist if you're being mean to the white supremacists when you tell them about their white supremacy? That's the same thing that a lot of misandrists and a lot of men's right activists say. Hey, woman.
Like, you're being racist for calling out racism.
Being sexist. Like, bro, what are you saying?
How?
It makes no sense like that though.
It's literally like saying, hey, you talking about white supremacy and you talking about critical race theory and taking down statues, you're making my kids feel bad, and therefore you being racist. You being a race hustler, you being a woke police. It's like that's what we're getting into. Let's keep the conversation going. Ask another question. You know
let's get to the rebuttal though. Let's get to the rebuttal, old buddy. You know what I'm saying? So like y'all know they love to come and leave, right? You can blow up on a conscious leave video. So let's take a look at the other side. Y'all know we debaters, so we do switch side over here. We got to make sure we paying attention to the ops.
Hey, I want to be everybody watching this video. Forget that he's talking about me. Can you identify the good arguments that's made, if any?
We're gonna break it down. Let's get it.
Let's hear. Muted. We're gonna get this going.
We're gonna get this going. You know, education is elevation. I hope that this video,
y'all can hear it
specifically. Not yet. I'm gonna see.
Infinite blink. And this is something while we get in the video set up. You say, but it's both sides, and y'all obviously lean in one direction. What side do you feel like is being left out? Because the objective kind of statement or the direction of this conversation has been misandry can only be valid if you are comfortable with misogyny. So do you disagree with that position? Because like the only reason you're upset about the way that women kind of have emotionally charged language, or frustrated, or deny or disrespect or undermine the validity of black men or men in general and what they do, is because they're frustrated by the way that they have particularly been targeted or experienced the worst parts of patriarchy, masculinity, and what that looks like. And so we've made kind of an argument about prioritization, if you will, or kind of the order that things work in. The question that keeps going back and forth in the chat is the chicken or the egg. We're saying which comes first, and we're clearly saying the chicken, which is the toxic masculinity and patriarchy toward women, comes first, which creates the egg, if you will, in this example, which is the way that women are responding to those things. So what's the confusion? Like you saying the solution, I'm still not getting enough context because I want to. We like to debate these issues.
Both sides. Discrimination of men is bad. Discrimination of women is bad. Prejudice to men is bad. Prejudice to women is bad. You want to make it a equal equivalence, to make it where they're on a level playing field, which literally makes it where you believe they are opposite sides of the same coin. Misogyny is not the opposite of misandry. Misandry is not the opposite of misogyny. These things have a cause-effect relationship.
There's a causal relationship.
One has to be present for the other one to happen. So even if you want to throw the root cause analysis out, let's think about approximate cause. For instance, I grew up listening to Keisha Cole, Mary J. Blige. I believe it would be unethical to say that these women talking about the way in which they were wronged by black men is hatred of black men.
Mm.
I think it would be unethical to say that when Mary J. Blige says, you feel me, and I cry for your kids and all I got after all these years is this, it would be to me immoral to say that she's being a misandrist because of the way she's responding to being dominated by men.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
I mean, it's also an example of
one is worse than the other. That's all we're saying. That's what I say. Both of these are bad, one worse than the other.
Because there are no sides, and it's like there's no sides in racism. You have racists and then you have anti-racists. There are no sides. You know what I'm saying? With patriarchy and misogyny, there are no sides. Like if we existed in a world where we couldn't look at blatant examples of systemic and systematic misogyny, then that'd be one thing, right? Then you can say, oh, it's just because they're a man. But when there are, like, when we're constantly seeing, like, for example, I teach a course on microaggressions, right? When you have things like when people think about promotions or people think about leadership positions, and their mind immediately goes to a man, right? We got to get the right man for the job, right? We got to make sure we have the right guy. That is an example of assuming that a woman can't hold position of leadership. Is that like is it to the point where it's like you're saying we don't want a woman? No, but your default to leadership goes male. That's an example of how women could feel a way about, for example, men. The NBA. Let's just talk about the NBA and the WNBA, right?
Man, I was on
the conversation. No. I mean, because because again, the NBA fight, the WNBA final just took place, and it was a conversation. That's right. Shout out to the champs, the Aces. There was a conversation situated around, they complain about not getting attention and not getting revenue and all of that, but they put their shit on NFL Sunday. Why should they give a fuck about NFL Sunday? Right. The idea is that football, right? This
for the championship game. Come on,
it's more important than a championship game. A regular season NFL game is more important than the WNBA championship. Man, that would make it, if I was a female or a woman basketball player, that would make me feel away. Right? I mean, because I'm being told that my contribution to this sport, basketball.
I mean, let's make it clearer. I saw a post of Serena. I saw a post of when what women basketball player just Sue Bird just retired. I saw a post about the Aces. I see regular posts about the WNBA. It could be a college player with a dope ass soccer kick that just made a highlight post for ESPN or Bleacher Report, and in the comments, who gives a fuck about this shit? Who cares about this? Why is this news? This is not news. Like, that's all. The whole top comments are all about why this shit is not important and people should not care about it and why the hell are we talking about it. So when you look at the evidence every single day, let's talk about the cooking field, right? Let's talk about the fact that women should be in the kitchen, but also women are being barred from the most of the time we see men to be chefs in our favorite restaurants, right? There are so many barriers and so many different segments of our society and our life. So you see the surprise and the shock that women are finally taking platforms and taking up space and being loud enough and not giving a shit about the expectations that we already have on women and not saying nothing and speaking out is like mind blowing. You know what I'm saying? Because like, what else did you expect? Look at all the ammo you give us to be pissed off from one day to the next. But that's just,
because Chad, me and y'all got y'all, so let me get mine in real fast. You know what I'm saying? Hey, in 2022, we got a male-dominated Congress that is literally impeding on the reproductive freedom of women and people with ovaries. So for me, when you get your overgrown ass up on Beyonce's internet or whatever internet you want to say you on, and you want to literally ignore the ways women do not have institutional power over men. There's never been a time in America where women have military power over men. There's never been a time in America where women have police power over men. There's never been a time where in America where women have legal power over men. So a lot of these shits be literally coming to saying, hey, I hear my grandfather talking about dominating my grandmother in a way that I wish that I could exert my manhood. To me, I see especially a lot of black men and men of color that be on that Misandry manosphere bullshit. Y'all sound like Donald Trumpian saying make America great again. You want to say make the family great again. Well, damn it, I feel more like a man when a woman couldn't have no bank account. She couldn't own a house.
I mean, this is in response. I think this is a good response to Captain Crunch. Is like not to talk about race, but who are making those comments. If you're implying that this is a white people issue, or that in our community we don't have these types of problems, I really, really hope that's not what you're going for. Because
I done seen more black men cape for Andrew Tate than I have seen black men say anything about black women being brutalized right now in the current status quo.
So this is the root of it. This is the reliance that I think Captain Crunch and there's some other people in the comments relying on is this idea that systems and structures are built to break the black family and the black community. And so when we entertain these conversations, we're giving kind of fuel to the fire. When we justify divorce courts and child custody or institutions that allow for child custody hearings to go a certain way, we're validating the breaking down and the deterioration of the black family. What is y'all's insight as black men on this agenda to break down the black family?
Me, link turn. Hey, for the non-debate people, link turn means that what this person is saying right here, it links more to them than it links to me. The person that's
a link turn is a Uno reverse card. Let's put it like
Uno reverse. Not me, that is you. For instance, everybody that talks about misandry, they usually have no issue with patriarchy, and they usually have no issue with men taking the lead. So this idea that systems always already break up the black family, the misandrous people, the men's right activists, y'all are protecting the systems that are the root cause of breaking down the black family.
And this is where I get tired because y'all's black family never really extends to queer people. Y'all talk about the breaking down of the black family and the deterioration of black family and completely omit the contributions that black queer people make to the black. Like, there are just so many things you think are breaking down the black family. And none of that shit is really breaking down the black family except for the toxicity that black people have toward their black family members. And that is a very real phenomenon. Two things can be true at the same time. On this podcast, we walk and chew gum at the same time. Right. So we recognize that there can be a very intricately situated agenda to pull apart black people and to break down the units that they've created over time to be connected, to be resources to each other, to help sustain each other and to stay in power. But it can also be true that we can be guilty of our own undoing. Right, that everybody's hands are not clean. And this goes back to my example about how anti-blackness can be learned and perpetuated amongst other black people because we can be our own demise. We can throw wrenches in our own families and systems and structures. We have a lot of black men that stay. We have a lot of black men that go. We have a lot of black women who stay. We have a lot of black women who make weird decisions related to their family situation. So that's my take, is that it cuts.
It's because we jumping. Hey, right now I would say we like rhetorically, intellectually jumping you right now. You feel me? I hope this is taken with education and love.
We have Infinite Bleak. Infinite Bleak is family. Infinite Bleak is Chop Nation, right? And that's why this dialogue.
Disagree. Listen, Infinite Blink just made a comment about systems always already tearing down the black family. My argument is that the notion of traditional man and traditional woman comes from the same system that you indicted and disacknowledged for breaking up the family.
But hold on, see, that's why.
Traditional woman, that is a white supremacist idea for how black men and black women should relate to each other. That means you cannot. Yeah, I'm good on it.
See, you skipping steps. You skipping steps though, because I think the mistake that we make, right, is the idea of traditional. Before you even tell a person how traditions are connected to maintaining particular social issues, right? There was somebody who specifically said in the chat, "Oh yeah, that's just the culture." That's the point. I feel like that's what we try to get y'all to understand. Like, and I say this in my workshops. We gotta do it. We always gotta question what we consider normal. We gotta question what we consider traditional. We have to question what it is that we want to conserve, right? What tradition are we relying upon?
Yeah,
we are relying upon a patriarchal tradition. So when you say a traditional woman, right? And now you may have a different perspective of traditional, and please, if you have that, put that in the chat, right? Yeah. Traditional woman means a woman that stays at home, who takes care of kids, who takes care of the house, who cooks really well, right? Who's submissive, but yet, because this is the thing, right? Submissive but strong, right? Submissive but powerful, right? So, there are all these things associated with the traditional woman, like from our society perspective, that literally brings back all the things that women have been working for generations to remove themselves from. So when somebody's demanding or asking, I want a traditional woman, the first question is, what do you mean by that? Because if you are relying on the traditions that have been created in the United States, you want a woman that fits under a good woman from the perspective of patriarchy. Correct.
And I think that what that is getting here is, what is the definition of a traditional black man and woman? I think those are, if I'm understanding you correctly, or at least how I perceive this statement, is that's an oxymoron. Blackness in and of itself challenges the very notions of traditionality. It begs the question of how we've always had to orient ourselves toward these institutions, toward civil society in ways that had to be different than everybody else's, because it wasn't no going through the front door for black people. We always had to go through the side or crack window. You know what I'm saying? So there is no traditionality. There should be.
I'm about to say, I'm going to cut you off. I'll let you finish your statement.
Well, not just there. There is no expectation of traditionality when we've been in very obscure conditions. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just think that expectation is one that's weird, and it is an appetite. It is an appetite to be seen as, to be normalized, to be up there with what you think is the standard, which is white people's relationships and white people's shit. We don't have access to that. Stop that. We don't need that.
I'm glad I didn't cut you off, because you just gave me the perfect way to say it. A lot of instances, to answer that question, when you talk about the traditional African man, African woman, a lot of the traditions, especially in the Western context, these traditions have been made out of obscurity. Meaning the ways in which we have been obscured is how we have created traditions. Think about it. In the notion that a lot of y'all talk traditional men, traditional women, the people that create those traditions made our black asses hop the broom because they did not recognize our kinship intimately amongst each other. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the notions y'all be talking about in terms of traditional man, traditional women, it come from the Europeans. That, you know what the Europeans felt about the way we related? Is that dog, they didn't give a fuck about dogs fucking dogs. Mm-hmm. Property marrying property. And in fact, property can't marry property. So a lot of notions y'all have about traditional man, traditional women, it literally comes from colonialism and white supremacy. That part. So a lot of the woke y'all be trying to do on alpha male, divine feminine, and all that, all you doing is parroting white feminism, white patriarchy. A lot of dudes that be talking about
patriarchy. Rest in peace, Bill.
Oh man. The last thing, you feel me? And I thought we can go on and I'm saying, I asked another. I don't even have to ask a question really. I feel like I can just let it go. You know what I'm saying? I had y'all last statements. My last statement really is just like, I recognize there's a phenomenon against men that dominate men. That domination does not come from women. That domination comes more from men. If you are a men's right activist, on TikTok, on YouTube, on Instagram, on Twitch, wherever you at, and you feel like men being dominated is bad, and you only talk about male domination when you hear women talking, you a sucker. I have no respect for you at all. And whatever you about, I'm about.
Gosh.
Feel me? So all that said is that just have that same energy when it comes to male domination all the way around.
That part. All right, real quick, I don't have a lot to add except for the comments been blowing up, and I appreciate y'all really kind of being invested in this conversation. Tango, Sean, Joshua. I want to shout out who's that? My for Delvine. Is it Delvine? Yeah, that. Ashley, Faith. A lot of y'all either showing love or chiming in, and we just love having y'all interaction. So that's pretty much what I wanted to say. And also, y'all know we debate. So if y'all want to debate some of these topics, if you really want to center in on some of the things that we said, if you feel like I agree with all of that, but here's something I want to kind of debate y'all on, let us know. If y'all want to jump on, we'll shoot you the link. We'll get on here and really have a constructive conversation and back and forth, because I want to make sure we give credence and credibility to what you got to say. If you feel like you can back it up, so we can have in an organized fashion. We do debates around here. So if y'all ever want to get in on some of it, it will be lit. Infinite Blink. Yeah, I like that. And now I realize, just so y'all know, shout out to everybody watching on YouTube and Facebook for the Chop Up Show, and YouTube and Facebook for the Conscious League. What that means is that it's 4 different streams of comments going on at one time. So we can see them all, but y'all can't see what everybody's saying.
I realized that too, that when the person was saying, I don't see nobody,
exactly.
It makes sense. That makes
exactly.
sense.
So we try to like make sure we get as much comments up and stuff like that all the time, but we shout out to y'all for just talking to each other and having conversations with each other. That's keeping this moving. But that was my own thoughts. Is I wanted to give some shout outs and tell y'all we see y'all and that y'all can always jump into the platform. Plug last thoughts before we transition.
Yeah, so the last thing I'll say before we get over to the political chop is that we have to understand that we've been socialized under a certain perspective. We always have to call in the question what we consider normal, because who gave us this normal it's not fully connected and entrenched. We got it through slavery. We got it through oppression. Like our normal came out of trauma. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of traumatic shit that we look at like, yeah, like that's just how it's supposed to be. But it's like, no, the fuck it's not. Like we just kind of got put in this position. You know what I mean? So
with Omarion and Janae, they ain't how it's supposed to be.
Yeah,
you feel me? Ain't no supposed to be this way. You feel me? It's what you've been tricked to believe. And so a lot of people talk about brainwashing. Looking at this society like this is what's normal is the worst brainwashing that we've been under. And so we'll close out the conscious chop that way. With that being,
I agree. If you voted for Biden, I agree. I got.
If you voted for Biden, if you voted for Biden, you may need to reread the ballot to make sure you're straight.
Back up off my friend. You know who's talking about Biden.
No, I defend Biden voters. I defend Biden voters. We're gonna do that. I'm there. Like I'm with that smoke. But with that being said, with that being said, let's transition over to the political chop. It's a few. With Biden being brought up, it's a few reasons what made Biden possible as a president, and that was Trump being trash as shit. And for the longest time, we all felt like, man, like even Trump said, I could shoot somebody in the middle of the street
and be cool,
and wouldn't lose a vote.
Did y'all hear about what he said about
for sure.
declassifying documents? He said, did y'all know the former president of the United States said, you can declassify documents by just saying they're declassified. Sometimes, and then continue by saying, sometimes you can just think it. You can just think in your mind that a document is declassified, and that's as good as done. This is who ran the fucking country before you. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I just want to point that out.
Right. No, right. This is who ran the country, right? And these motherfuckers let them run the country. These motherfuckers let them run the country.
Actually declassify something.
Yes, bro. But see, this is the thing. That whole Trump shooting somebody in the middle of the street shit go out the window if it's a black woman. You know what I'm saying?
Shine, you crazy. But all of that goes out the window if it's a black woman.
If it's a black woman that's in charge, you feel me? If Trump shooting people in front of a black woman, he ain't getting away with that shit. Attorney General of New York, Letitia James, is making sure of that, because all of the fraud bullshit that Trump been on for literally as long as he's been in the state of New York, she is actually finally pulling his card. Like they were straight up suing Trump Foundation and his kids And not only are they suing them, but they're also referring criminal charges to the Justice Department. Now, to be clear, what she said specifically was, according to the New York Times, she concluded that Mr. Trump and his business violated state criminal laws and plausibly broke federal laws as well. Her office, which lacks the authority to file criminal charges in this case, referred the findings to federal prosecutors in Manhattan. The 220-page lawsuit filed in the state Supreme Court in Manhattan lays out in new and startling detail how Mr. Trump's annual financial statements were lies.
And then I went to a Twitter because me and Toya be on that Twitter. You feel what I'm saying? If y'all want to see the Attorney General's tweets, you go to the Chopper page on the Instagram and you'll be able to see her tweets. But because sometimes on the Chopper we'll ask, like, is this blowing smoke up our ass or is something gonna come of this? You know what this black woman did? She outlined specifically what she's seeking. She said she want to make Trump pay $250 million back. She want to ban Trump from running New York businesses for good, meaning you can't run no more businesses in New York. She also want to ban Trump.
Hold on, his kids, Trump and his kids.
I'm reading the tweets. I'm reading her whole tweet. She laid it out so simply, and I think that's what I like. That's what I recognize people like about our podcast, and that's what I realize people like about what she did. When you roll out things simplified, when you ain't trying to talk over people's heads, and even when you use language and jargon people ain't used to, you break it down. She said she want to ban Trump and Trump organization from buying commercial real estate in New York for 5 years. And then she said she wanted to make a criminal referendum. This is the part that really got me, the tweet that got me, Toya. She said, with the help of Donald Trump, Eric, Ivanka, and other defendants, Trump variously unlawfully inflated and deflated his net worth by billions to obtain and satisfy loans, insurance benefits, pay lower taxes. In short, he lied to gain massive financial benefits for himself and his family. Then she said, last thing I say, she said, we found that Trump and his family in the organization has used fraudulent and misleading asset valuations over 200 times.
Lord.
Over 200 times in 10 years. His annual financial statements. These statements were then used to obtain hundreds of millions of dollars in loans and insurance coverage.
Mercy.
Do y'all know how many niggas, Mexicans, indigenous folks gonna get charged and convicted to the highest extent of the law? $20,000.
You make a great point. Hold on, bro. On that point right there, Captain Crunch, who is clearly a Trump supporter, said, "Who cares? The '94 crime bill." Let's think about the issue with the '94 crime bill. It criminalized black people, right? What Trump is literally doing is committing crimes, and he's been committing crimes. And the same system that criminalized us has been ignoring those crimes.
Yeah.
A black woman who I'm sure throughout her life who has been criminalized in some degree throughout that same system is looking at criminal actions and saying somebody should hold this person accountable. How do you have the audacity to bring up the '94 crime bill?
But plus,
when a black woman is holding this man accountable for being a criminal, something that all these other white people in charge have to help to do. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, but political pluff. How dare you bring up what Donald Trump has done when Biden wrote the crime bill? It makes no sense. Like it's like a whataboutism. We are centering what is going on right now in the status quo. The status quo being what's going on right now, and you want to talk about the 1994 crime bill.
But even outside of that, though,
Republicans, Democrats. Never mind that both liberals and conservatives use the crime bill to lock niggas up in red states and blue states and red counties and red and blue counties.
Right. But I don't even want to make this. I don't want to make this segment about Trump.
I mean, and the last thing I'll say is the answer to why bash Trump is because he broke the law. Like, you can be upset about a crime bill, but it was a whole bunch of other people who sat next to Joe Biden and co-signed that shit and brought it up and volleyed it with him in different congressional sessions, and they negotiated or whatever, and then people passed it legally. We're talking about a man who broke the law. So that's the reason why we're talking about Trump.
And one of our chopsters, you feel me, Top Nation has told us they got somebody doing in jail right now for a $2,500 PP loan.
Okay, let me help too, because Infinite Blink is like, so the 1994 crime bill has no effect on today. It does, but as an argument, like I debate, and I also am a professor in human communication studies. I teach argument interpretation classes, I want to help you. This is called a non sequitur. This is called a non sequitur. A non sequitur is Latin for does not overlap. One has nothing to do with the other. This is a separate conversation for a separate day where we negotiate the implications of Biden's decisions on what that has looked like socially and politically for Black people in particular, Black men in particular. Separate conversation from what we're trying to do, which is hold Donald Trump accountable for once. He's been impeached twice and was still in office. The nigga keeps having lawsuits that keep falling under. So for once, this conversation is about holding that man responsible for clear-cut crimes, not the other thing. It's a non-sequitur.
Hey,
right?
being keeping the wacky wacky, Captain Crunch, you're really showing that you got the same type of hubris of most Trumpsters. Because Trump did some good things, he cannot be held accountable for the bad things he's done. That's what you're saying. Because he passed these bills in 2001 or 2021 and 2022, or actually he passed the shit in 2018, 2019. What you're saying though is that, hey, if you're a politician and you passed policy 10 years ago, and now we can't bring up nothing you're doing. You get to commit fraud. You get to, lie. You get to falsify documents. You get to create fraud and scam to literally line your family members. And we shouldn't be able to hold you accountable because you passed the First Step Act and because 1994 crime bill by Joe Biden. It's like, so does 1994 Joe Biden make him do that? No, throw it out the window. Next one. So that the First Step Act make Donald Trump commit scam? No, it didn't. So what is the relationship between you bringing these things up other than you showing us that you're a Trump supporter?
That part. I mean, and so that's what I'm saying. All these accolades for what Trump did during his presidency, we will focus on those if that was all he did. But it's not. Instead, he did a whole bunch of problematic and more insidious shit, which is why we're focusing on that. So the plug popped out of our conversation, and I don't know necessarily where he went or what happened with this connection, but I do want to spend some time, let me see, talking in the spirit of the political chop. You mind if we switch gears for a second? We'll come back to what else the plug want to talk about, y'all, when he come back. But I want to talk to y'all about the political happenings that we've been seeing popping out of Florida and out of Texas. Over the last week and a half, I don't know if y'all been watching the news, but we've been watching politicians kidnap people and send them to complete other parts of the country and potentially the world if we let these people get away with what they're doing with no accountability. So if y'all been missing from the news, as promised, and this is being deemed as kind of like reverse, the reverse busing, from the civil rights movement, right? Yeah. Back in the day in the civil rights movement, white politicians, white people with power in the South would bus Black people up north, right? To get them out of their communities, to plop them down in developing communities or whatever up north and be like, y'all just deal with them since you want these niggas to be so free. Now we're dealing with a situation where, and plug, I shifted to another conversation. We're going to come back to yours in a second, but we're going to go ahead and talk about what's happening in Florida and Texas real quick in the spirit of the political plug or the political chop. But now we're seeing that same thing happening with migrants. So last week, Ron DeSantis, governor of the state of Florida, put some Venezuelan migrants, gave them a pamphlet and everything, told them, and these were people who were asylum seekers. They came to this country under the understanding that we're accepted here, understanding that we accept people who are looking for the ability to run from whatever threats they have in their home countries, and put them on planes and sent them to Martha's Vineyard. Martha's Vineyard is a very affluent kind of area in Massachusetts. And the aha is supposed to be, you want all these migrants here, you want all these moochers and people here. And what they're doing is sending them up to Democratic states and saying, deal with them. Now, this is a play out of Governor Greg Abbott's playbook, because Abbott has been sending for months now, putting migrants on buses. He even went as far as to send some of them to Kamala Harris's neighbor home, to her residence, right? Really? And it's supposed to be this big political aha gotcha. And so I guess the question, because it's been called, they've been criticized for making people human cargo. A lot of people have called this human trafficking in a lot of different ways. This is literally kidnapping. Like, you can't take a person, tell them they go on one place, put them on something they can't get off of, like a plane or a bus, and then send them somewhere completely else.
12 years type shit.
Just on it, and from an objective perspective, right? I just want us to think about this objectively. Let's not even think about all the murky, problematic shit that is attached to these plans. Do you feel like this was a politically strategic, wise move that Republicans are going to get behind, or do you think that this might finally be the thing that has gone too damn far? Just objectively looking at political strategy, do you think this is compelling enough to really get Republicans on the same page with these people who are doing this type of just unfathomable type shit?
No, I don't
Or
think so.
do you feel like this is going too far and it's gonna really shake people into understanding this shit is kind of crazy?
I wish
Nah,
it would.
it's really just a matter of it's literally just a matter of who is going to step up and hold them accountable. Because when as much as like a lot of this shit is dictated by courts, whether or not Ron DeSantis will suffer any consequences, whether or not they whatever, because they are being sued. To be clear, they filed
Who like the ACLU? Like who's? I guess who is
the individuals, like the
okay.
people, the migrants that were shipped, they're suing Ron DeSantis and them, and
Gotcha.
Abbott and them for their involvement with that. The question is just about holding them accountable. I'm sure there are going to be some constitutional questions that get brought up that have to do with them being migrants and all those types of things. But laws are laws, and shipping in like the false pretenses by which they were placed on the plane is a crime. They like you said, they was recruiting those people. You know what I'm saying? And so essentially it's just a question of they've done a great job of packing the courts. And will this take place in the court system that actually is willing to hold these people accountable? A large issue is that with conservatives dictating the Supreme Court the way that they are, the highest court in the land cannot be considered credible at this moment. So Republicans have an advantage when it comes to the courts simply because of the advantage that they hold in the Supreme Court, as well as the fact that 1 in 7 federal judge is a Trump appointee. So there's that.
So, and Lakeisha brings up an interesting comment here in relationship to that. If the insurrection at the Capitol didn't do anything, I'm sure this won't do anything, or this didn't do, won't do anything. My question though, and then I wanted to turn it over because we heard kind of what we expect on a political level to happen from the plug. But Lee, I want to know from you, I guess my question is kind of more rooted in, do you think this is a persuasive tactic for Republicans? Like, it seems like they be down for whatever. You know what I'm saying? And so that's kind of scary in a world where we're looking at a clear-cut case of like just deception and kidnapping. So do you feel like this move or this gesture is appealing to conservatives, or do you feel like they're gonna kind of this is too much? Do you feel like this is something that will shake them into realistically looking at their party and how ridiculous they are?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's gonna be. I think that because it's being seen as a political aha gotcha moment, that's like, aha, we're gonna show those Democrats. Even though we know conforming to the law was weaponized to justify Black death time after time again, all three of us either coached or debated on the visa system topic.
Yeah.
I remember talking about T visas and the parameters that individuals had to go through to law to prove that they were trafficked and not smuggled. That's my first ever debate argument I ever made in debate. The second thing I'm thinking of is what I also learned on the visa system topic was about asylum laws.
Right.
So for me, it's just thinking of, like Damo pointed out, the Republicans already get to appeal to this because they have the legal advantage because they pack the courts. So to answer your question, I see this as being how Republicans are going to galvanize their base to show the to show the leftist liberals they don't give a damn. They're going to do whatever they want to do. Mm-hmm. Me being in Texas and Oklahoma, I know that a lot of people that voted for Trump, they voted for Trump because they said that he said anything he wanted and he did what he wanted.
He did whatever. Yeah, that's captivating to them as a voting base. Absolutely.
Captivating to them. I'm talking about, you would be pressed if you went to 10 people in Texas and Oklahoma in 10 intervals, you would get 7 of them that say, yeah, I like Trump just because he's about what he's about and he ain't scared of nobody. So for me, it's like they are just envisioning the energy of Trump. They ain't worried about being charged with human trafficking. They ain't worried about being kidnapping. They ain't worried about breaking laws in terms of asylum seeker and breaking international laws they don't care about none of that. It's literally like Solomon and 12 years a slave. I can do what I want to do for you to make a point.
Well, I want to end it out like this before I turn it back over to the plug to finish up the political chop. A lot of the news stories that I was taking in and reading that were talking about this particular issue kind of posed the same question I posed to y'all. Like, what shape does this leave the Republican Party in? And what a lot of conversation is being had about these things is that their voting base might be down for it, might be gung-ho and super excited to see their favorite candidates, doing all the theatrics and really going hard and, making the rubber meet the road in terms of making good on what they've demanded from immigration policy. But other people are saying that the leaders who have to lobby behind these issues or rally behind these issues in terms of immigration and stuff like that are really like not feeling this move, and they kind of side-eyed it because they do feel like it's an undermining of the sanctity of life and the dignity that we have got to give just humans on the strength of being humans. Like, this was a little bit too far from them. And what is being said is that these random kind of political chess moves that they're trying to make that are playing with people's lives in the process, on top of the confusion that has been created by the repeal of Roe versus Wade, is creating very weird kind of relationships to these candidates and to people who are running, because what we find is a lot of candidates don't want to talk about immigration because they don't want to seem like they're cozying up to the strategies that have been used by Abbott and DeSantis. And we're also seeing that these same politicians don't really, we've seen their websites, we've seen a lot of their conversations void of things like abortion, right? Because these are issues that some of their Republican counterparts are making very hard for them to sell their own candidates on. So as we look at these midterms, as we look at a lot of these political conversations, I expect immigration and alongside abortion rights to be some very tough inner corner issues that a lot of Republicans don't have to try to make declarative positions on, because a lot of Republicans are like, y'all going too far with this abortion shit, and y'all went way too far with this political stunt with what's happening with migrants. And so stay tuned. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how people decide to cozy up to these topics when it's time to vote and make some decisions. But Plug, back to you.
Now I wanted to point out before I had to get my mic resituated, that part of the chop wasn't even supposed to be about Donald Trump, and this is the problem with political dialogue, and which helped Trump get to where he was at. Because the conversation is about Letitia James and her holding him accountable, and the significance of seeing a Black woman in that position, really using the same structures that we talk about, have issues with, to hold a white man who has clearly got away with more than his fair share of bullshit, holding him accountable. You know what I'm saying? And because as much as we talk about, people calling the question the significance of seeing a Black woman as a vice president by saying, well, whether or not she's Black or whatever, a bigger issue, I think, is that we put too much emphasis on just those two roles, and not that the more local and state roles that play a significant role in how our everyday function. Right. So the question, briefly, real quick, I want to ask Shaw is: Do you believe that Letitia James and her image right now is being somebody that's holding the world, like really the world's greatest villain at this point, Trump, accountable for his crimes? Is that significant for the image of Black women, particularly in power? Because again, people say what they want to say about Kamala Harris, but here is another example of a strong, powerful Black woman in that position, doing things that we haven't seen the people who stay in power doing.
Okay, so the question is, do we believe it? Like, what
do you view it as significant? Do you view it as significant? Do you view what she's doing right now, the image that she because it's about symbolism when we talk about Black people in politics, because it's not enough of us to just say we doing X, Y, Z as a unit. You know what I mean? So should Letitia James be awarded that same significance the same way you could stamp Kamala Harris or anybody else? You know what I mean? Or the way
I think at this point, you don't get any points for being the Black woman who initiated something or who has some bright ideas. I think Kamala Harris kind of maxed us out on skinfolk being kinfolk in the way that it's just like, oh yeah, this Black woman is on the case. We're behind it. Now I feel like that, and I mean, I think especially when it comes to political institutions and systems that we are already skeptical of, when you are a part of those systems and structures, we hold the right to be a little skeptical about, how well you're gonna do her job. So as a Black woman, I salute her. I love the fact that she's taking the time, because me and Plug were talking about just how long she's been cooking on this case and really developing and being tight-lipped about it, being very intentional and strategic about really building a strong case against Donald Trump to get him out of the state of New York. And so I want to validate that, right? I think that work is important. But in terms of her slam dunking it, I hope so. I don't want her to fail. I don't want her to fail because I want somebody to finally be able to hold this man accountable. But I'm not putting all my stock in I think she's going to be the one, or this is a radical new way we're going to do this thing, or this is something that we should just really be mesmerized by. Because we've seen, and I think this situation is different than the other decisions and positions Kamala's been in, but we've seen, Black women, just like anybody else, fall short. and be caught up in the systems and structures that don't allow for justice to be served. And so we just got to sit back and watch.
Mm-hmm.
As Infinite Blink, and I think Infinite Blink said this, it's not hard to call Trump out on BS. The tough part is making him pay for it and making it stick to him. And I think that's true. One of the things I think I heard a comment from a judge related to this case that said, though, you know, this is not one of those kind of innocent blunders that you made. Like, my nigga, this is intentional, repeated, time and time again, professional, fraudulent behavior that we hold you accountable for.
But that's actually why, real quick, just to respond to Toya, that's why we should be mesmerized by this. She should get like that, you know, she should be placed in that light because nobody else has done it. Everybody else has failed to do it. Like the people in power, the people because for Infinite Blink to say, well, it's not hard to call Trump on BS. Yes, but he was still president. He's still been able to do all these things. He's still been eating and making money off the same lies, right?
And the question you just asked about galvanizing the base, because I spend so much time on Twitter these days, a lot of Republicans is just characterizing and folding her charges against Trump as saying,
that's what I'm saying. Fuck them though. Like, that's the point.
It still matters though. To me, it's a part of the point. It still matters in terms of thinking about what her impact is. It has the potential to do and what it is doing based off of what the opposition is able to characterize her in. She's being characterized.
That's non-unique because they're gonna characterize her like that. Period. Right? That's non-unique.
Your point. We all point out that we all can identify he do bullshit. Right? We all identifying that he got a lot of bullshit. We all identifying also that it's hard to stick him to bullshit.
But that's not the point, though. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's the problem. It always gravitates to what he do. Like, there's a significant moment that's taking place right now.
Right now, I'm talking about how it's being characterized, what she is doing and what she has done and what she continues to do. And I'm saying that matters. That's what I'm saying. I want to be clear on it.
No, I get it, but the question that I'm asking has more to do about highlighting the significance of this black woman in this position of power that is holding these people. So, because of course they're gonna frame her any particular type of way, right? That's non-unique. That conservatives are gonna frame her in a fucked up fashion, right? She's black and she's a Democrat. Check. That's all they need. They don't need nothing more. But again, the problem is that this is something that's extremely significant, right? Not only from a political level, but Trump has been a player in the real estate game, specifically in New York, for generations. And so now somebody is finally pulling his card, and it's a black woman holding him accountable. Because a lot of things that I was thinking, the first thing I was thinking when this happened was protect her, because she can do more damage to Trump right now than all of Congress could. With the impeachment trials and all of that, she right now holds more cards and has more of an advantage over Donald Trump legally than anybody than the entire Congress.
I mean, so
you
feel like the case.
That's the reason my point was being brought up.
Go ahead, Lee.
Letitia has been the Attorney General since 2019. There is a large, incredible narrative that says that the reason why she's Attorney General is because she's been out to catch the boogeyman Trump. So to me, I think it is non-unique to point out the meaning emphasis. You threw the word out, so I'm gonna throw it back at your ass. It is non-unique to try to talk about in 2022. She's been trying to hold Trump accountable since 2019.
Right, so she's doing, and now she
ain't the first person to try to hold Trump accountable. I'm saying that there is a whole pattern of individuals trying to hold Trump accountable and it not sticking. So I think it is important to literally analyze why it is not sticking. I think it's not sticking because the packed courts. Because
it's sticking. That's the point. It is sticking. That's what makes this a significant moment. It's sticking.
I guess my question about it.
I'm saying it's significant.
My question about it sticking is what makes this case more ironclad, hardcore, and voracious than accusations that lead to impeachment. Like, so you're saying her case against him is stronger than the federal government's case, an investigation to impeach him? How and why?
How? I don't think so.
Because there were loopholes that people were able to take advantage of that looked at the relationships that Donald Trump had with particular Russians that made it to where it didn't have to be deemed criminal. You could deem it criminal, but the ways in which people interacted and maintained their relationships made it to where, okay, there's certain things that we can bypass. Plus, he had the entire Justice Department on his side that straight up said, we're gonna go with this idea that you can't indict a sitting president. We're gonna sit on that and just ride that out. He doesn't have that. He doesn't have his Justice Department on his side, and all of the evidence that she has is in writing. When she's talking about those like the 20 something over 200 something over evaluations, inaccuracies, these things are illegal. Plus, I mean, we're going as far as like forged documents. You know what I'm saying? Documents that really shouldn't be with other like all type of financial shit that's clear in paper. That's like this don't match with this. That's a crime. This don't match with this. That's a crime, right? That's why. Hold on. That's why, and this is what I would say, and then I'll let you say, you know, y'all last points on this, and then we'll move on to the last part of it. You know what I'm saying before we close it out. Unless so, you still talking about?
We'll close it.
Okay.
I might say something on the way out, but we'll mostly close it. Go ahead.
Okay. But so what we see here is the most damage because this is a civil suit, right? This isn't criminal. She's referring it for criminal charges. This does Trump the most damage because this undermines all of his business. This undermines all of the money he's making. You feel me? So right now we have like she has the capacity to make him to put like really deal with consequences that had to do with him scamming the financial industry for years, right? And he has nothing, no overarching protection from the Justice Department, none of that. He ain't got none of that right now. You know what I'm saying? And again, the reason why I was saying that it was significant is because in an era where Trump has spent the last like 6-7 years, right, untouchable, we now see like that crack. We now see it falling apart.
Trump a political bulldog. You just acknowledged in the other rant you said that this one in I'm finna with your shit. I get you trying to speak. Now I'm trying to speak. You acknowledge that 1 in 7 federal judges was appointed by Trump. That's what you acknowledge. You also acknowledge that he has done a great job in packing the courts. Now you're going to put hope in the same courts. You acknowledge that 1 out of 7 federal judges appointed by Trump. You also acknowledge that the goddamn courts is packed. You also just made a distinction between criminal court and goddamn civil court. So you saying we're gonna put more eggs in the basket for a goddamn civil case for a rich white man doing what rich white men do? Listen, man. So you telling me that national security, you feel me, and him being able to withhold funds from Ukraine, nigga, we just sent how many trillions of dollars to Ukraine? So you telling me it is more illegal for a rich white man to do what rich white men do and getting away with the goddamn economy than it is for the standing president to withdraw funds and say, nigga, we ain't gonna help Ukraine unless you give me information on my political op? That's more criminal? I think you
Why do y'all deify white men like y'all rich white men go to jail all the time, nigga? What do you mean?
We already know
they go to jail over shit like this. What are you talking about, bro? Like, and this is my problem. And then I'll pass it to you.
Trump ain't been to jail. Trump ain't going to jail.
Yeah.
You acknowledge he checked the courts. So listen. The attorney general wins. I actually told you, if the attorney general wins her court, can't Trump go to the Supreme Court and try to a higher court? Didn't Damo dumb ass? No. I'm about to do this, bro.
Wait, breathe. I want us to breathe, and while we breathe, I want to say thank you to April for sliding in, for providing some great comments, tapped in with a donation in the comments, and says, I have no faith in any president being held criminally accountable for anything. A whole president participated in a duel. And so some skepticism about, I mean, people are kind of just trending in that direction where they don't really know or what to expect. But I don't want to undermine. I am with the plug in that I don't want to undermine. Like, because some things are undeniable. Like, they play in our face. But to be fair, the case against Donald Trump by Letitia James is pretty ironclad. Now, I think even the ones who were proponents of the impeachments and of exploring a lot of his other issues in the past have been like, but here are some cracks, some crevices, some places he can get off. I think that over 200 examples of forged, missing, problematic documents, this, that, and the other, a lot of the intricacies of I don't know, but I do know that it's a mile long. And so I think at this point, it is just going to be interesting, and I'm willing enough to lean into the possibility that this Black woman kind of has a case that is ironclad enough to really see us on the other side of Donald Trump. And I think Plug has an interesting point. Because Donald Trump served in office without ever taking a check, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think he earned a salary as president. Y'all can fact check me on that. But what that
gave it away. I think he gave it away. I believe
exactly. So what that means is that the man got bread. He got big bread. He got long bread. So you know what he gonna want to cover. You want to know what he's gonna want to look out for when it's all said and done. His money, right? And so money is at stake. And I think what he's done is played itself financially, and that's probably what he's gonna be caring about more, a whole lot more than what happened with a lot of those political proceedings and conversations about his impeachment. Donald Trump was not coming off of his tax documents in 2016. It just was not happening. He refused. And and very clearly there's a reason why. And that's because there's a lot of discrepancies in there that just won't be able to be explained. So that's my take. I don't know. April B said that he's held accountable eventually in some spaces, but not criminally. And so these are things that we wait to see.
Hitting him in his pocket is where the most significant charges will be. Him not being able to do business in New York, that literally, and all his other evaluations, that impact everything.
Yeah,
that impacts everything. And listen. See, you in mafia. I know you be debating these niggas on on TikTok, but let me show you how. Even though there's light in the tunnel, even though he packed the courts, Donald Trump went to with his current because right now, as much as we talk about him not dealing with anything criminally, he got caught with all these damn documents. He's dealing with criminal charges from having them documents. The judge that they went to try to get this special master was a Trump appointee, right? Even though the Trump appointee judge agreed to this special master, the special master themselves was with no bullshit and told the Trump team straight up, the games that y'all trying to play, it's not happening, right? We gonna do this by the book the way it's supposed to be done, right? The part that y'all forget is white people are also fed up with Donald Trump. White people are also looking for ways to get him out of there and be done with him. Y'all need, because my biggest problem, when we talk like this, we deify these motherfuckers. He can't be touched. We can't do nothing about it. He's gonna live forever. You deifying this nigga, man.
Dogs bite, wolves bite. I'm not deifying.
You don't need to be scared of dogs and to be scared of wolves.
Because I ain't scared of nothing. Nobody or nothing, right? This is what I'll say. Clearly. Me acknowledging that Donald Trump had access, he literally had in his possession top nuclear documents. The political plug want us to believe that because this black woman got some financial documents, that these financial documents gonna be having more weight than the goddamn. So to me, it's just like, fam, we dealing in reality with time, effort. You know what? You're dealing with bad faith, really. Right now, I think you pushing bad faith. You feel me? You pushing bad faith. You feel me? As a matter of fact, in conclusion, education and elevation, insanity is doing the same thing over and expecting different results. The political plug with his political knowledge has acknowledged that the system that he wants to hold Donald Trump accountable has not held that nigga accountable.
The plug. Final word before we move. That was your 2NR. Do you have a 2A? You have a 2AR?
It's as simple as this.
Transition? Go ahead.
Can y'all hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes. And then we're going to move to another.
I'm going to let you close it out because I know you got one more that we can close it out on.
Yeah.
Because you said you was going to say.
Well, no, it won't be political. But before
no, that's what I'm saying. Whatever you want to close it out.
Yeah. So close it out.
Yeah. So the last thing I say to this. Lee is an alarmist. He's an alarmist. He says he's an alarmist, right? What he has to understand right now is that there were certain circumstances that shielded Donald Trump. Donald Trump no longer has those shields. He no longer can make those excuses because he was impeached twice. The only reason he was not removed from office was because Republicans had the majority in Congress. Ain't no majority, ain't no political nothing. One that can shield him from the consequences of taking personal classified documents that he's not supposed to have, right? Because he is being held accountable for that, right? And overvaluing financial properties over billions of dollars. Rich people go to jail for shit like that all the time. Donald Trump also beefed up the law to go after people that deal with classified documents.
Yeah.
He will be held accountable for these things. These ships only go so far. Donald Trump then made enemies of also the same white people that it's like, oh my God, we can. Yes, he's made enemies of them.
So as the plug speaks, George consciously, the Lee, don't forget to say the Lee, has multiple caps on. I think he
this capping ass nigga here, man.
Explain or express that the plug is capping.
Bullshit.
And so here's what I want to do. I'm gonna leave it right here. There's a lot to be seen. This won't be the last time we talk about this Letitia James trial, this case against
Shout out to Letitia James.
We gonna see it. And shout out to her. We definitely gonna see it. I will say, I got to shout out this moment we had in the chat. Sean said, where's Captain Crunch? And then Lakeisha said he sailed away. I don't know why, but that tickled me because we haven't heard from Captain Crunch in a while. But get it, Captain Boat sailed away. He left. He haven't been here. So that made me laugh. Thank you, Lakeisha, for that. And with that, here's the thing. We about to close it out, but on the way closing it out, I got an action item for y'all. Y'all know the uproar against Halle Bailey playing Little Mermaid, the first Black Little Mermaid all over Disney and everywhere else. Apparently, in the comments of the trailer that was released on YouTube, or not even in the comments, but the reactions, there are like over 1.5 million, maybe even 2 million by now, dislikes for the trailer. So what this means, and here's y'all's action item. When this movie come out, we got to trap it out like we did Black Panther. I want y'all to go see the film. I want y'all just to spite. I don't give a shit about Little Mermaid. I was, as a little young Black girl, I got over Disney movies and princesses and stuff like that very quick in my life. I was about 5, 6. I was like, this is great. It's cute. It's not for me personally, okay? That being said, I'm still going to go. I'm going to go watch this movie. I'm going to spend my little money. I'm going to see it just to piss off these white people who thought they was really saying or doing something, being mad about this non-human character being racialized for one little hour and a half, little measly hour and a half, 2 hours for some movie. So, go see it. That's my action item for y'all. Treat it like we did Black Panther. Flood it out. Shut it down. I don't care if you don't give a shit about it. Buy the tickets and give them to some cheering. But do something to really. Sean said I'm a bootlegger. That's your business. But some of us, yes. In Infinite Blink, I want to go see The Woman King before. And you said it's a more interesting topic. We talk about Black women. All of it's interesting
all the time.
But The Woman King, I want to go spend some time looking at and seeing some of the more discourse about before I weigh in on it, because I am interested in what it represents and how it plays. So
I want to see it
stay
first.
tuned for that. I'm gonna come back and holler at it. But y'all do what y'all can to support these endeavors. You know what I'm saying? As we see, white people very upset. I know y'all saw the memes. They was like, well, what if we made the whole cast to set it off? We redid set it off and made all of them white. I've seen a bunch of just
give it a shot.
Give it a shot.
Listen, I want to call they bluff. No bullshit. Show me a white set it off.
I bet y'all want to redo Roots. Redo Roots with
Hey, matter of fact, y'all keep playing. We're gonna do a Passion of the Christ with niggas. We're gonna do it the right way. Keep playing. I'm gonna get Tariq Nasheed on the phone. Like, hey, we gotta get that Passion of the Christ.
Lord of the Rings.
Entertainment said hashtag Trump for prison 2024. Agreed.
Yeah.
Shout out to you. Drop donation to the show. We love y'all for that.
The nihilist in me just like, man, that hope got so much shit you got to put in that, man. That white man ain't going nowhere.
Look, I want to make sure wait. Before we start commenting on that, I want to make sure we say thank you appropriately.
Thank you.
Entertainment. That kind of got overshadowed in all of that. I want to say thank you for you dropping something in support for the show. Definitely appreciate you for that.
Somebody say Moses.
hey, listen, what Toya was saying that though, the pro-black in me, I guess, or the stereotypical pro-black, based on the clip that we just had. Because when me and my wife was talking about Ariel being black, I was like, "Who the Prince stuff?" It's a white boy. You know what I'm saying? So like the YouTube nigga got me like, talk about supporting this like Black Panther. If Black Panther had a white woman, you wouldn't be telling everybody to go support Black Panther. But we's telling her to go support this Black mermaid messing with this white man. Stop. Where's Umar when we need him? It's a joke though for niggas take that. For niggas take that.
It's real though. Disney would be too much of that when they had Diggy Simmons as the prince or something like that. Little Romeo or something.
Actually, if Little Romeo was the prince, I feel like niggas would be like, all right.
We have some awesome opportunities to celebrate some Black art. Make sure y'all tap into that and see what's really good with it. We know the Glorilla and Cardi remix to FNF is out tonight. Check that out if that's your cup of tea. But bottom line, let's stay connected. Let's stay watching some beautiful, great Black media being put out there. Let's stay connected to these political conversations that's happening. Let's stay connected to these social conversations that's shaping everything. Y'all got something y'all want us to talk about? Drop it for us over there on the IG at the Chop Up Show, at the Chop Up Show, at the Chop Up Show. Make sure y'all share, y'all like, y'all comment. Do us a favor and leave some comments on Apple Podcasts for us. Let people know how you feel about it so that we can be popping up more in some of those top ranking podcast algorithms as we move toward the end of the year and start plotting and planning on 2023. That's what we need from y'all. We love y'all. Thank y'all so much. If you dropped a donation, if you dropped a comment, if you dropped some laughing emojis, if you emoted, before y'all leave, make sure y'all put a heart or a happy face or something like that if y'all on Facebook. But stay connected with us. We're going to stay connected with y'all. We'll see y'all next Thursday. Y'all know how we do it. It's the Chop Up Show. We going to end the show the same way we started the show. Let's get
in the city, we gon' slide, bet I be there pronto. Me, my guys, we really live. Lord, forgive me, pay my tithes. Please don't have me reach inside, and that's in the console. Keep the semi when I ride, lit off Henny when I drive. In the city.